The main responsibilities of a project manager. Where do I start? Look, they are there to ensure the safety of the project and make sure that the project is run as smoothly as physically possible with no injuries. Here at Create, we've established a process that we've called Construct, and I'll guide you through that now. And it summarizes kind of like from end to end. C, the context. What and where is the project? Nothing difficult, very simple, but again, necessary information. This is a big one. Oh, objective. What is the goal for the project? What you believe to be the goal might be slightly different to the project manager if you're not aligned. So again, just by going over it and covering it with your project manager, you'll be very, very aligned with the objective of the project. And needs and wants. The project will have needs and wants, and it could be planning permission that will define the needs and wants, but you might have some conditions attached to the project, okay? So there will be the particulars of the project, but you as the investor, as the homeowner, you might have some different needs and wants. You might have a shopping list. You might want gold-plated skirting board. I don't know. You might want Louis Vuitton wallpaper. But again, will the project financially allow it? So again, the needs and wants of the project. It's an alignment meet, his roles and responsibilities to ensure that you're both aligned before you start, because it'll be impacting on the costings, it'll be impacting on the supply chain. It might take weeks to even procure this stuff, it might be made from overseas. So again, that's fundamentally important that your needs and wants are identified at the start of a project. The structure, S, the structure. This, let's not confuse this with the team, we'll get into that next. The structure, have we got planning? Do we need planning? Do we need an architect? You know, what is the structure? So we're talking CDM now. Whose roles and responsibilities? So your project manager, are you wanting to hire him as a project manager? Is he your project coordinator? Is he your principal designer, or is he principal contractor? Again, if you don't know the difference, I've got a separate video on CDM regulations, but the structure will define who is responsible for what on a project. T, the team. We all love the team. Well, again, at the start of the project, we need to identify who the team are. It's not just a case of getting, the builder or Joe, the decorator. That's all well and good. But again, what due diligence are we looking at when we hire a team? We've all seen it on Facebook where we've seen a rogue tradesman come through and, they've ripped off or they've done some substandard work because you're not matched with your values. Avoid it at the start. It's your project manager's responsibility to mitigate that risk, and do not hire a rogue tradesman. So what sort of due diligence could your project manager do? Well, he'll check them through a credit safe platform. Are they worthy enough to give them the credit of which you might need on a project? Are their invoice terms, say, £5,000, £10,000, £20,000 a month? Can they feasibly control that and manage that? Or are they asking for money up front? All these need to be taken into consideration when you're hiring your team. The risks, the big one, absolutely huge on a project. Risks. There could be many, many different types of risks. It could be the hazards on a construction project. There could be financial risks. Yeah, what if you don't get paid? There's loads of different types of risks. Again, it's the responsibility of your project manager. Now, if you don't know all the risks associated to a construction project on and off site, leverage that and give that responsibility to a professional, your project manager. Do you really want to be that person who caused the risk by not identifying it in the first instance and mitigating that with the right process? Uniqueness. This is a big one. Not many people know this, but what is unique about your project? It could be you're building in the winter period, therefore the weather, the frost. That could be very unique versus doing an extension in the summer. Why? Well, the frost, we can't lay in 3 degrees. We have to be 5 and rising, really. Some areas in the UK, it's 3 and rising, depending on what the air temperature's like. But again, these could be factors that could add timely delays, financial delays, things like that. So again, the hazards, so they could be anything. It could be funding. Is that unique? Are you cash fronting it? Are you paying it out of credit cards? Are you paying it from a bank where they need an IMS monitoring surveyor to come out? There's many, many different types of uniqueness. But again, we need to be able to identify those differences so that someone is narrating the band, talking to the client and talking to the build team. Someone who is external to both parties who can address that before these issues arise. C, constraints. What are the constraints on the project? And no, I'm not just talking about like issues on a project. There could be financial constraints. There could be weather constraints. There could be timely constraints. You might need to get your project done in 6 weeks. You might need to get it done in 6 months because you need to revalue that property in order to get the money out. Your bank might have told you need 40, 50 grand's worth of equity on the project before they loan you your money. Therefore, the constraint is that you're asking your build team to front cash flow your project for you. And lastly, T, timescales. Absolutely huge. It's very, very important that we manage the time of a construction project efficiently. Now, let's put this into context. If you need a project doing in 10 weeks, for example, but yet your build team say, hey, this is a 20-week project, but you as the homeowner dictate they must do it in 10, and they have an injury or an accident on site, the courts and HSE will look at this and you will be front and center to explain why you put that build team under the put your build team under the timely constraint because you might have forced them to go faster, and of which that was the factor that forced the accident. So again, you need to mitigate that as much as possible. You need to ensure that there are sufficient time on the project and ensure that the safety is the first and foremost for any construction project by allowing sufficient time. So there you are, the construct process. Using that format, that will allow your project manager to identify his main roles and responsibilities on a construction project, and he'll cover your A to Z throughout that format.